the mighty Nuno Bettencourt.
That isn't me. What the on there? Was I going to the gym? What happened?
They had a bunch of people up in this balcony, and I sat there, and as she come down the aisle, it was me singing More Than Words, and then Slayer went on. So I opened for Slayer, and I just did More Than Words. We're working on a new Extreme, too, and it's really progressive. We have the whole album's written. It's written. It's done. The song's written.
Really?
Yeah. And then he called me back, and he said, "Hey, it's Steve Perry." And I'm like, "Yeah, go f yourself, it's Steve Perry." And I hung up again.
All right, hey everybody, it is Derek over at Masters of Shred for another explosive, blisteringly spectacular episode of Pages in Time. Before we get into it, do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, share the notification bell, share this with a friend, drop a comment, grow with us, and help grow the page without ever having to open your wallet. But if you do want to open your wallet, we'll have some awesome options for you in this video and towards the end. So let's just hop into it. Before we introduce our legend of a guest here today, who's no stranger to the Masters of Shred platform, I want to first give you guys a scope at what was going on in the year that we're about to review. And this is January 1992. So let's talk about it. Nirvana came out with Nevermind and changed the musical landscape forever, whether good or bad. And we know that Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy were engraved in every child's brain. And on top of that, Guns N' Roses gave us Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, and Jerry Springer introduced the world to trash TV. But outside of that, the Mighty Extreme was about to drop their third album, 3 sides to every story, and one man just happened to make the front cover as the MVP in 1992. I'm talking about the guy who's here right now. He doesn't even need an introduction. The mighty Nuno Bettencourt.
That isn't me. What the fuck am I wearing on there? I forgot my clothes? Was I going to the gym? What happened? Or this was just Seattle influence, I think.
You got some bicycle shorts, right?
I have bicycle shorts. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. But I do have my Portugal. I have my Benfica soccer shirt, my favorite team in the whole
Which is
world.
pretty cool.
That'll do.
Do you remember this photo shoot?
Vaguely, man. Vaguely. Yeah. I definitely was tanned. That's good. Definitely was laying out for this.
Tan's important. Tanning is a big deal,
Tan
folks.
is a
It's real to
massive
this
deal.
day.
Just ask this guy.
It's real.
I look like a ghost next to him.
It's real. Ask me how much money I spent on Tanner a week. Don't ask me that. Yes, very true. Very cool. Everyone was wearing those pants back in the day, dude. I mean, Axl was rocking them, right? And you know,
we were all delirious. We were all confused back in those days.
But you got your guitar.
Got the guitar.
And you were in a really cool Tag Heuer in this.
Tag. My first and only watch I'd ever purchased in my entire life.
Really?
Since then.
Do you still have it?
I don't have it. It was stolen from me.
Oh, gosh. You got a lot of stuff stolen from you.
It was stolen from me because I had it in my luggage. And we pulled up on the bus on the side of the road. And bus driver pulled all our bags out, as he does, but he's supposed to sit there. And then he went to get coffee, and he left all our bags out. And somebody came by and took 2 of my bags with all my jewelry, shit, money in it, all really personal belongings, some of my mom's stuff. It was actually pretty devastating. Thanks for reminding me. I'm gonna start crying.
I got a knack for reminding you of horrible events.
Trauma.
Last time at the Washburn custom shop, I brought up your dog that was stolen.
Yeah, that's what my dog was stolen from me. This guy just like he's the
I gotta remind
Masters of Oprah Winfrey. He likes to make all his fucking guests cry.
To appreciate the future, you gotta look at the past. Right? Okay, let's hop right into it. Some Blue Saraceno love. Gotta love that Yamaha. You rarely ever see those guitars.
That's a great finish too.
Yeah, the plaid.
Plaid green. Wow.
It's gone up a lot in value. You find one, thousands to get that. It's also in the Brady Bunch movie in the 90s. Greg Brady was buying it at Sears, which was BS. They never sold that guitar. But anyway, Hop the Press, Slave to the Grind. Got some Skid Row love.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, man, I love those guys. Actually, I gave Snake, there was a hat that I used. It's funny you said shit was going to pop up, and I didn't believe you. But there's a hat that I used in the Little Girls Extreme video. It was a one-of-a-kind hat that was complete snake skin, and it actually had the end of the snake on top. And I used it in the Little Girls video, I think, in the front of that on the first album. And of course, because it was Dave, the snake, Sabo, I fucking just gave it to him one day. I regret giving him that damn hat. But no, I love him. I gave him that hat, and now he owns it. He still has it.
We'll see if he still has it, right?
Yeah.
And you guys had something else in common. When it came to 3 sides to every story, they were both albums and Slave to the Grind recorded at New River Studios in Fort Lauderdale.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that album was done there.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, we used Michael Wagner as well.
That's right. You guys had that ADA MP1, right?
He fucking pawned on us.
Do you know who has it now?
Huh?
You know who has it now?
Him?
Scotty Hill.
Of course he did.
He bought it off him.
Of course he does.
Iconic. Here we go. We're hopping right into it. Table of contents. Another great shot, the Big Cheese. Well, he is the MVP of the year, so it makes sense.
Wow, MVP.
That's it.
Most valuable penis, I think.
That's what it was. There's a couple of things it meant. You got caught in the act here. A little great Ibanez ad with Andy Timmons. Gotta love that. They always got crazy with their ads. Super cool. A lot of thought.
I think what's great about the magazine so far is I was talking about this the other day, and this proves it, how spoiled we were with great guitar players and great bands at that time. Just like everybody was fucking insane, and they were all in great bands. Very hard to find these days, man.
Very true. Got some Robin Love. They're back in business doing it again.
Who's this guy? Did he just come? Is this like, was this an up and coming
I like his shirt,
guitar
whoever he
player and
is.
artist? Yeah.
That amp, though, I think was pretty influential for sure. It came
Yeah.
around this time, and that was some high gain shit right there.
Yeah,
That was cool.
I've never played a 5150 in my entire life.
Really? No kidding.
Never.
Yeah, well, you had your Randall signature, and now you're with Marshall.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I didn't play it, and now that Eddie, rest his soul, has passed, I can say it now, is because when I went to his rehearsal and met him for the first time, and he was playing, and he had me plug into his rig, I was like, wow, man, fucking sounds great. He goes, so I can just walk in and buy one of those? And he looked at me and he gave me this little, like, well, kinda. I'm like, wait, what? Are you modifying these and not telling the kids who are buying it, and everybody's buying, like assholes like myself who want to sound like you? And then I think I mentioned it in private to somebody, and somebody printed it, and I remember Ed would call me. He's like, what the fuck, dude? You can't fucking tell people that it's not. But at the same time, I'm like, well, fuck that. It should be the same amp. I think it should be. If you're doing a guitar, you're doing an amp, and I'm putting it out, and everybody's like, oh my God, I want to sound like Edward.
Has your name on it, too.
Has your fucking name on it. It better fucking be the same amp. Come on, Edward. Let's go.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
We gotta talk with Peavey about that. We're still working on that factory tour, Vault tour. This place is still open, making music out inside Chicago. I looked them up. They're still doing their thing. Here's our sounding board before their social media. You could, send in your grievances and your anger, and maybe get them published. Yeah. Some love from Mesa Boogie, Mark IV, getting a 2-page ad. I can only imagine how much this costs. Yeah. One was not enough. Let's show you 2 on there. Got the Korg A5. I always look up these pedals to see what they're going for today, and a lot go still for nothing, and some go for a lot.
A lot of them are just junk that people take it.
Yep. The year in guitar world. I like this. This was 1991. So the Brown Sound, AC/DC, Angus Young said, what the hell's with all these guitars? Whatever happened to plain colors like black and brown? I hate all this Art Deco shit. I think you had an answer for that.
I don't even have to fucking say a word.
There it is.
I don't have to say a word. I was all about it, man.
A couple years ago, that's right. So we talk about that, highlighting some of the great stuff of the year. Got some Vi, ZZ Top, Eddie Van Halen right there, unrevealed the Ernie Ball Axis for the first time in the Music Man. So that happened 91 as well. There's you. Look at that artwork.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Is that me?
Yeah, it's you and Brian May.
Oh my God.
Interviews.
I missed that. I might have not even ever read that.
You interviewed Brian May, it says.
I did interview Brian May.
Oh, I just remember that part.
You were on that part I remember, but I didn't know. I didn't see this little tidbit here.
Okay. We're talking about some NAMM stuff here with Eddie at that NAMM. I don't know if you went to the 91 NAMM show, because you had told me you went to NAMM show when your guitar broke.
I saw Ed would perform at a NAMM show with, it was a jam with, him and Steve Morse. It was all these Alvin Lee, all these guys. He was the only one that was I don't know if that was then.
Was that at a friendly jam with Biff Babies All-Stars?
No.
Oh, yeah, Steve Morse and Albert Lee.
That's it.
That's it. 91.
I was sitting on the floor. Steve Lukather stuck me in there because I was young and I probably couldn't get into that place. But we sat on the floor, front row, just sitting on the floor watching Edward and Steve Morse and Alvin Lee, all these guys. It was insane.
Wow,
insane.
That's pretty cool. So that hit home there. We got little stuff here. Things breakups hard to do, and it literally talks about Dave Navarro talking about how much he can't stand working with the lead singer of Jane's Addiction, and this was 1991. Wow. And then fast forward into last year, and we got the Punch Out on stage. Yeah, it's been going on for decades.
Well, Freddie Mercury always said that the band made their best music when they were on the verge of breaking up. So
there it is.
Always. Here we go.
Good way to put it. We got Strangers in Paradise because he just done his own solo album, Richie Sambora. So we're talking about that. The M80 we covered and a couple other issues. Crazy cool shred amp. A little bit of Jeff Beck love.
Of course.
Get a little bit of that in there. Charvel Surfcaster. It's a pretty wild-looking guitar. I seen one of those recently, actually, on Facebook Marketplace. Not for a lot, but I kind of like the styling.
Yeah,
very of that time.
It's really cool.
Right?
Very cool.
And be an innovator, not an imitator. Here we go. Right. All these guitar learning things, these workshops. It was good to learn. Oh, here we go. A little bit of Queensryche.
A little Queensryche. Yeah.
Michael Wilton and Chris DeGarmo. Do you know what Chris DeGarmo is doing now?
I had no idea.
He flies private jets. He got out of music. years and years ago.
Smart man.
You imagine if he was flying your private jet? You'd be like, you look familiar to me, dude.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that, hopefully.
I think I better get one then so he can fly.
There it is. Wow, it'd be incredible. This guy I never heard of. I couldn't find him. So he was up and coming with that crazy double neck for Diodario. I'm probably saying it wrong. And everyone says, oh, you're not saying it right. Whatever. Tomato, tomato, folks. But if you know about this guy, let us know. More just said, a great ad for Fender. Yeah. He was done with Kramer at that point. We're going to go through a little quicker here. Get a little lesson with Chris DeGarmo and Michael Wilton, going through some Queensryche songs. Dickie Betts with a classic Les Paul. Of course. William Gibson's good enough. Seen that in a lot of shit. The Alesis 91 Quad Reverb GT. Actually found an Alesis Farsi jacket in Nashville for next to nothing. Okay, some GHS love. We're getting closer to your article. Some Slayer in there. You ever get into Slayer?
Yeah, it's some Slayer for sure.
Okay. There's some strings here. Blue Steel. Marty Freeman had his discrepancies with that company.
But there was something. There was a quick Slayer thing. I was at home about to go to bed one night in L.A. and somebody called me and said, "Hey, the head of Live Nation called and asked if you would do him a favor." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, at the Palladium, Slayer, there's a big metal night happening, and it's all like." And the girl who was the daughter, of the head of Live Nation is getting married in between sets and right before Slayer at a metal show. So what do you want me to do? Can you go and do More Than Words while she walks down the aisle at a Slayer concert?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not joking. This is like as Spinal Tap as it gets. And so because she loved the song and it was a surprise, they weren't going to tell her, and she was just going to get married at a Slayer concert because she's the daughter. She was on tour with them. And so they had a bunch of people up in this balcony, and I sat there, and as she come down the aisle, it was me singing More Than Words, and then Slayer went on. So I opened for Slayer, and I just did More Than Words.
And what year was that?
I got out alive. That was, God, that had to be somewhere in 2000s, early 2000s.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a hell of a Slayer story, huh?
I don't think I've ever told anybody that story.
Wow, I wish there was footage of that. Maybe start looking. We got some Baby Boomer here, Thoroughbred Music. We know about them out of Tampa, I believe. They bought Dean Guitars in Tampa. It's a music store. Art, you don't see a lot of anymore, but they were really going for it. All these crazy processors and rack units. And oh, there he is! Numero Uno. Numero Nuno.
Come on, man. These guys are really clever. These guys are really clever.
Yep, they're there for a reason, writing. Very cool. They touch base with you. Got a whole bunch of information on you, actually. And there's that watch again. There it is.
I look very
you got a lot
angry.
It's
that Latin, Portuguese thing, you know.
And here you go. We got a little bit more. It goes right into your article. And they're actually thinking, how are we going to even talk to Nuno about? Because if you look at it, we've already covered all this stuff, and it's only been a couple months since our last issue with you. Because you were on a bunch of guitar magazines, dude. Yeah. 1991, 92, you were all over it. Yeah. But they said there actually is a lot of stuff to talk to you about because you're designing a brand new guitar with a single coil alternative to the N4 and a blossoming songwriting partnership with Journey Steve Perry. What was going on at that time.
Yes.
Now that guitar with the humbucker slanted single, do you know how hard it is to find? You had a lot of different variations of your Washburn in the 90s, but when you Google it, you only find one, the N4. But there were other ones I've seen, but I can't remember the names of them. Was it this N61? Was that the one?
I don't know. Some of the ones that I don't know were probably stuff that they did on their own, but it was just, all I did was literally go up an N5, and then I had an N5 that was a single coil humbucker and two single coils. But really, as far as me designing, it was like the Princess guitar. It was like a Les Paul version of what I had, and but that was about it.
Wow.
All this other stuff that you're saying, like, you know, with different variations of numbers and high numbers, I think those were just like little one-offs or limited runs of stuff that they wanted to do.
Okay.
I couldn't keep track.
Yeah, that makes sense. You were talking about definitely writing with Steve Perry at that time, and he would come out a couple years later with another solo album. And I like the fact that he said he called you up because he was also Portuguese.
Yes. He called me out of the blue. I actually hung up on him. Somebody called me in my hotel room in Germany, I think it was, and he starts speaking Portuguese. Like, yeah, rapaz, o que estás fazendo? And I'm like, who is this? And he keeps speaking Portuguese, and then he goes, I go like, you know, kind of like, leave me alone. I don't know who it was. I hung up, and then he called me back, and he said, hey, it's Steve Perry. And I'm like, yeah, go fuck yourself. It's Steve Perry. And I hung up again. So, and then he called me a third time. He goes, Nuno, it's Steve Perry. Like, you're Portuguese. And I was like, oh my God, I hung up on Steve Perry twice. I thought somebody was playing a fucking joke on me. I was like, so yeah, we became really close after that. And we still are. I just spoke to him recently. But we wrote some stuff together back then. Never released it.
Never released it.
We've talked about it recently, actually, possibly releasing a couple of songs we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be killer, huh?
Yeah.
Shit, dude. Okay, hell yeah. I like you talked about here on the road. You said the road is a bit like a drug. It's very hard to wind down when you stop. I find that it's a very difficult time going to sleep in bed that isn't moving. When you just stare at the ceiling. So this was, you know, heavy tour schedule at this point. Yeah. We go to your trading licks MVP. So you go through more than words, and you show that off. That looks pretty accurate to me. I went through it.
Yeah, it looks identical. I can't read a note to music to save my life.
Okay. But tab, though. Yeah, so we go through the tab, and you would pick up over here. We're talking about it, too. It says that you grew up and you like groups like Yes, Rush, Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. That's a group you don't hear a lot about. Yeah. Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Damn. Yeah, that's a pretty good band.
It's funny because I was just writing last night. I was in, you know, I should have gone to sleep at like 4 in the morning, and I was working on a new Extreme tune, and it's really progressive, and it was literally I was just let my soundman just like take a quick listen to what I was working last night. I just played it for Fig for the first time, and he's like, I gotta learn that. Nah, it's like it's definitely, it's not super progressive, but it's definitely influenced by like King Crimson and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's like it's just got a lot of changes and crazy. A little bit of some time changes, but also this really kind of expensive, odd chords and stuff. You're gonna kind of freak out. It's interesting.
Well, when can we expect to hear something like this?
I might have to play it for it before we leave the boat.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Well, when
privately, of course.
Okay. Well, how about everybody else? A couple of years. What do you think?
No. I already have the whole album's written. It's written. It's done. The songs are
really.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys are gonna get that out. That's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to hear that, dude. Hell yeah! I'm gonna take you up on that private showing of that song too. Okay, anyway, so we go into porno graffiti. They bring up to you. You mentioned it. It dealt more with social issues, and this one for 3 Sides to Every Story is gonna touch up on racism and a couple other things. And that album was fantastic. It still is fantastic. I mean, it's held up the course of time. Other people were ready for it though. That's what I don't think. Very awesome. We're talking about some more stuff here. I'm going to skip a little bit faster. We're making great time. You're going through your picking technique, your palm muting, which I thought was really great. You said when muting, it doesn't matter where you are on the neck where you place your hand. You just have to make sure you use more than one finger to kill the strings. And that's true. I seen you do that, right? And I thought about it. What the hell are you talking about? If you just use one finger, you're right. You're going to hit a harmonic.
Yeah.
You got to really muffle that. And your percussive palm muting is... That's a signature, one of your many signatures, you know?
Well, when you do a lot of this growing up,
he's already a pro. There it is. We got some more in here. We were talking about your, fill-in licks and all that kind of good stuff. It's really in-depth. I mean, I never liked this because I can't see you doing it. I just see a finger and I don't know where you're placing it, but they were going all out.
Pre-vid.
For YouTube. We got the Tacker DOD, some pedals. It's an in-depth lesson. Very cool. Hey everybody, just a quick reminder, if you'd like to show your support for this channel, and we'd love it if you would, make sure to check out our limited edition Masters of Shred merchandise at www.mastersofshred.com. You can snag an awesome shirt like this incredible Shred Class of '89 ADA Throwback Tribute, or plenty of other ones that you will not find anywhere else. So check that out, and while you're there, make sure to check out our incredible limited edition Tone Arts USA Super Halen amp. Only 50 will be available, and they are going quick. Now back to the show. And we're going a little bit more here, which is you actually shine some light on Appetite for Destruction, because apparently there was a lot of praise around that album coming out. Sorry, Use Your Illusion coming out. Two records, and you said the hype was kind of getting a little crazy, and you had commented on it. You weren't really happy with the direction the band was going.
Did I say that?
Yeah, but you made a good point though. Here you said, I don't think that a band achieves greatness until they've recorded 4 or 5 records and proven that they have depth. Only then can they receive the respect given, say, Aerosmith. Which I can understand.
I get it. It's a little arrogant, but yeah, I get it. What I was trying to say was I think off of one album, which by the way, Appetite's one of the greatest rock albums of all time, and they did have like 7 or 8 singles off the goddamn thing, so it's almost like 2 albums worth of stuff, 2 or 3 albums. But I think I might have even spoken with the guys about this in Guns when we did that Freddie Mercury thing of because I think they even were feeling, they were starting to not want to do interviews and want to edit interviews because they thought it was so overwhelming. They got so big so fast, right? Almost like from playing like clubs to like doing arenas and even stadiums at one point.
Right.
And I think the development of the actual of the point that I was making, it was whether it be Queen or Aerosmith or Zeppelin, it's like as iconic as even the first 2 Zeppelin were, or the first 2 Van Halen albums were.
it wasn't until you get, or the Beatles, until you get to that third, fourth, the rubber soul of it all, or A Night at the Opera from Queen, even though they were already amazing, or Toys in the Attic, or as the band goes to develop, I was actually looking forward. I couldn't wait till like I was imagining if this is where Guns is now. I mean, give them a minute. Like, give them a minute before you say they're the greatest rock band of all time. Like, let's see what they got. Let's see what they got. And it was more out of excitement than just like, hey, you know, stop telling them how great they were. But in print, I think, you know, plus, you know, I noticed when I go back, like being a lot younger, and the what's the word, the lack of, or the absence of a lot more of just, you know, narrative, and to be able to explain things in depth and a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more intellectually. Like I was from Boston and young, and I was just like, yeah, dude, yeah, it's wicked cool, wicked pissing, fucking park your car and all that shit. So I don't think I have as much of I think I got in trouble more in those days because I think my education was a lot less in the worldliest sort of way, you know.
Well, you know, you have some good points in here, too, though. They asked you, what do you think about the 80s school of guitar heroes, Rat and Dawkins? Is it dead, dying, like that shred scene? And, you know, with Soundgarden and Smashing Pumpkins, and you brought up a good point. You were saying that it's tough with bands like that because they focus on one main member. If you're focusing on your main member, that's, you know, the star shredder or what have things like that, it says when you rely on one unique player, it eventually becomes boring. And they have 2 or 3 good records, but eventually people will get tired of that single voice and that single focus. But saying it's a good group effort being in a band. It's a good effort.
I think it is, and I think, you know, look, you had bands, iconic bands that had, like, they were bands first. Like, you know, Van Halen's a good example of that, or Queen. Like, these guys were bands first, and they had a guitar player. Even as iconic and even as groundbreaking as Edward was, if we just heard him as just play those solos and play that stuff, it would have been exciting, but they shined because of the fucking party that was going on the other 3 minutes. Like, if you didn't have the songs like Unchained, and you didn't have Roth the way he sang, and the attitude and the punk rock of it all, it would be like, that's what made Edward all of a sudden explosive to me. So the band, it wasn't just, and I think because of Edward and some of the Guitar Hero stuff, it seemed like the priorities shifted a little bit in a lot of the 80s bands. And I don't mean a lot of the iconic ones. I mean, it started being like, let's just get a great guitar player first and then build the band around that. And sometimes the lyrics were like, yeah, we don't really have to say much. We don't have to mean much, which is great. You know, it's a party and it was metal and all that stuff.
Yep.
But I think lyrics and everything else took a little bit of a back seat and was a lot more samey, as opposed to the bands that were coming before us and before them. Like, even though they had guitar heroes, Zeppelin wasn't like Queen. Queen wasn't like Van Halen. It started being everybody was chasing a lot of the same thing instead of going, wait a second, where's the individual? That's why I kind of was turned on to like King's X at that time, and bands that were like Dan Reed Network, or bands that were just like, had the courage almost, like they still had great guitar players, but man, they were doing other shit as well. And developing narrow sounds, you know, and I think that's what was cool about the '90s. That's why, you know, when or even late '80s with Jane's Addiction and
Living
Colour, and all these bands, or even Rage coming out and having, you know, a rapper in it. It was like, yeah, there was still great riffs and great everything, but it was a balance. So I think it got a little bit like let's chase guitar, which is great for us guitar players. You know,
right.
We had a lot of we had some killer guitar players.
We did.
You know, so
you know who another good one was? Saigon Kick.
Yeah, great. We toured. We toured them as well.
Great stuff. Now you said here that you talked about gear. You had a peculiar sounding Gallien-Kruegar amp. You're not even sure of the model number, but it really sounds unique. And I'll probably use that with my ADA MP1 and a Marshall some kind. Do you remember what that Gallien-Kruegar was that you were using at that time?
Yeah, it was a little. It was like a little stereo one. It was like a little box like this. I can't think of the name, but if you push buttons in for chorus, it had a great chorus, and that's what I used on every solo.
Yeah, we'll open that door.
Every solo of 3 sides is that Gallien-Kruegar.
Really? So, but you don't remember what the model number is?
I'll have to. I'm sure if you like, I think it's the only model they made that was like almost like, it felt like a desktop speaker, and it had two little tiny speakers in it, and all solid state. And then I ended up using a Soldano for 3 sides for the rhythm, and that amp for all the solos on 3 sides.
So not even the ADA.
No, I didn't use the ADA after Porno ever.
Oh, really? Okay.
How do you pay tribute to one of the greatest guitarists from one of the greatest rock bands of all time?
Tone Arts USA proudly brings to you the ultimate addition to your shred den, the limited edition Super Halen 1x12 stack. Draped in the pages of a vintage 1990 Van Halen comic book, the Super Halen is a showpiece that can rock like no other. Handcrafted by Tonart's master luthier Sam Hill, no two Super Halen amps are the same. Each cabinet is scientifically crafted with the highest grade materials to give you that monstrous tone that will light up the sky. It's fully loaded with a 12-inch USA-made Green Beret speaker, a total upgrade from the Celestion G12M greenbacks that we've become so accustomed to. Each cabinet is closed back just like Eddie's, but Tonarts USA does offer an optional open back if your heart desires. Visit www.mastersofshred.com now to reserve yours today before you can't get this stuff no more.
Okay. So here's what we gotta do. We're gonna skip the rest half, and we're gonna get you going. You gotta go out to the pool stage soon too, right? You got a show tonight on the Monsters of Rock Cruise, by the way. Big shout out to the 2025 Monsters of Rock Cruise making this episode happen. So here's what we're gonna have to do. Even though we got through half, you gotta make it official that John Hancock Nuno was here. He signed. He approves of this issue. Which one you want? Gold or black?
Let's go black, man.
All right, let's go black.
Hey,
making
maybe
it
we'll find
official.
another time to do the other half.
Yes.
We'll see.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sorry,
Very cool.
show days are hectic.
Hey, I appreciate you doing it. If you guys like this channel, make sure to subscribe to it. Check out the Super Halen amp, only 50 made out in Nashville, Tennessee. One of one, a necessity for your shred den. And check out our merch at mastersofshred.com.
Keep following this dude, man. He's keeping guitar playing alive. Let's go.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Right. And check out the Monsters of Rock Cruise 2026. See you soon. That is too cool. Look at that.
I forgot about this.
There's that tag, Heuer, too. They got a good shot of that tag, bro.
It's the catch of the day.
That's awesome. Here it is, folks.